Breaking news. Fresno State, San Diego State, Colorado State, and yes, Boise State are going to receive an official invite to join the new rebuilt, as we've been calling it, Frankenstein PAC conference, the PAC, today. It's going to happen today, Thursday. Holy smokes. Welcome to college football's peek around the corner, and that is exactly what we've been giving you this week. This week in 2 live shows and a member-only episode, Early Peek, Cloak and Dagger, we told you the chatter was heavy. Heavy. That's why we've been the college football YouTube channel that has been talking about this week. Because, well, let's just say the chatter was heavy. We listened to it. We were told. And we're going to give you even more information today that has not been reported. On, well, the issues of UNLV. Are they going to get invited? Air Force, are they going to get invited? Remember yesterday and the day before we talked about the Texas two-step. We got more information on that. We're going to give you another peek around the corner. So welcome to the one and only college football's peek around the corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, Please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to donate to this college football, very unique Rebel Outpost channel with a donation to help us keep the lights on. Hit that $sign where you make a comment, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Everybody, and I mean everybody, is welcome into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid, especially today. Realignment never sleeps. College football, everything in college football is discussed on this channel. Do not be afraid to be a legend in the chat room or with your phone calls later in the show. There are a couple surprises, even for us who have been on this story for months. We've been talking about the Frankenstein Conference. We emphatically said yesterday that the Mountain West Conference isn't going to remain the way it is, that Boise State and San Diego State, we're not going to go through another media package cycle with the current Mountain West schools. But we are surprised we were told that this was coming to a head and that there was going to be some announcement in regards to teams in deep talks. They expect this to happen early 2025. That was the announcement we were expecting at peek around the corner. But no, the announcement is these 4 core schools in the Mountain West are going to get an invite today. And of course, they're going to accept. The votes are going to get through. It's happening today. Today. And the new PAC is going to be starting in 2026. We're going to be going through Ross Dellinger article. We're going to be going through some other information. I just want to, we have new information. There was a reason. It's why it's important to become a member of this show, because we laid out episode 46 just a couple days ago. Membership only episodes. To become a member of this channel, you get even an early peek and a little bit of cloak and dagger information along the way. So please think about becoming a member. Hit the link in the description box below the video and then hit the join button. There is a reason why we hit this subject so hard this week. Even though there wasn't any reports out there, we said the chatter was very heavy. There is a reason why for the last 6, 7, 8 months on the center of the stage, we had Boise State in the center. We had Fresno State if you're looking at the stage, if you're in the Holy Smokes Theater, Jared Jones, Randy Taylor, Jeff Olson, Vox Quindaro, Dave B, Jonathan Price, CFP Plus. If you're sitting in the Holy Smokes Theater, and if you're looking at the stage, Boise State has always been in the center. Fresno State has been on the right of Boise State, and we went through the reasons why they were on the right side. They have issues they got to overcome, that stadium. But anyways, Boise State in the center, Fresno State on the right, and on the right side of Boise State, on your left, if you're looking at the stage, it was San Diego State and Colorado State. The 3 schools closest to Boise State were San Diego State, Colorado State, and Fresno State. Then it was UNLV and Air Force. We're going to get to UNLV and Air Force later in the monologue. We do have more information. But those schools that were closest to Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, those were the core. And that was what Washington State and Oregon State have been working on for months in trying to make sure they had interest, valuation. There's a couple of things that happen here. And I'll just talk. I'll bring up one now, but we're going to get into it later in the monologue. There is the lawyers. Just like how the Big Ten took UCLA and USC and we're really going to go after Oregon and Washington until the PAC got poached by the Big 12. And, well, there was some legal concerns, and I'll put it at that. These are 4 Mountain West schools that are getting poached. There is the possibility of a 5th and a 6th. But there are some legal reasons why they're doing phase 1. Also, there's other reasons. One is that Colorado State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, even though they're not going to have an official vote in the conference until they become members, they still wanted a voice in the creation of the conference. So they're going to get that voice. Washington State and Oregon State, we have been text messaging since 1 o'clock this morning. They wanted a voice. They're going to get a voice, even though they don't have an official vote. So there is some give and take back and forth, but this is happening Thursday today. Let me thank everybody who has come on in at the beginning of the show, morning show, big time, September 12th, 2024. And I just want to say this. My father, my beloved father, passed away 1 year ago today. So this live show, isn't dedicated to Gerard Anthony Pflugar. And someday we will all see you again. And when we do, it will be forever. This show is dedicated to Gerard Anthony Pflugar, known as Jerry. And of course, we have Jerry, the investigative reporter inside the Holy Smokes Theater, and he's going to give us more information as the day goes on. GT is in the house. The Walking Geek is in the house. Kirk Bender, look at that, the evil badger. Jeff Olson is here. Randy Taylor, Dave B, Dark Moon, Preston from Greensboro, Texas Two-Step, coming soon. We will get into it. It's official now. The PAC lives on big time. NE is in the house. Matt Neeson, Illini Ted, CFB Plus, Jonathan Price. Greg, you refuse to let me work, don't you? Christopher Mercado is in the house. Wow. Fox Quindardo, Jared Jones, Mr. Buckeye, Illini Ted, David Griffin, another evil badger, Ryan Willie on Wisconsin, Anthony Eason, Caleb Ramirez, Monavision is in the house, Anthony Eason, the architect, CSU Rams. Okay, let's get to it. First of all, there was breaking news late last night. Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports. Sources, the Pac-12 Rebuilding Conference targeting Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State. The Pac-12 is mobilizing its long-discussed plan to rebuild the league with additions from the Mountain West, sources tell Yahoo Sports. The two-team conference of Washington State, Oregon State is targeting Boise State, San Diego State, Colorado State, and Fresno State as new additions in a reimagined Pac-12. We've been calling it the Frankenstein Conference. We've been talking about this for 8 months. Inside the matinee special, PAC 2 and Friends in the Holy Smokes Theater. And those were the 4 schools that were at the center of the stage. Those schools are expected to soon apply or have already applied for membership into the conference. The first step in the process to complete the deal. And let me just say this. It's happening today, and it's happening in 46 minutes from now. 9 o'clock Eastern Time. It will become official. So as we're doing this live show, we're going to be getting more news reports coming on in on the top of the hour. So keep your head on a swivel. They would join the league starting with the 2026 school year. Commissioner Teresa Gould and officials from the Pac-12 has spent the last year examining possible options for the future after 10 schools left the league for the Big Ten, the Big 12, and ACC. They have long held the belief that they can preserve the Pac-12 brand by reconstructing the conference through expansion, using its 108-year-old tradition, history, and assets to attract new members. This is expected to be the first phase. The first phase in a multi-phase expansion endeavor to reach, at the very least, 8 schools, the NCAA's minimum required to qualify as an FBS conference. If the aforementioned 4 join, and they will today, the league needs 2 more to complete the process. And we're going to be talking about that this morning here at Peek Around the Corner. We still got the question of UNLV, still got the question of Air Force, you got the Texas two-step, you got the question of, is Memphis really going to be interested in joining this conference? We have information on Memphis, where we're going to be sharing you a peek around the corner on Memphis later in this monologue. There is a reason why Peek Around the Corner has been all over this week. While there was no reports out there. Ask yourself, why have we been on this? Well, the chatter was heavy. It reached us. We were told to expect an announcement. We did not think it was going to be this. We thought it was going to be, this is going to happen and it's going to take a little bit, but it's going to happen, but not today. But everything else, we've given you the accurate peek around the corner. We have more information to give you. So buckle up, brace for impact. The Pac-12's board must approve any membership applications and are expected to do so, to soon do so. It's happening today. It's going to be official in 43 minutes from now. The deal could be finalized by the end of the week. Again, it's happening today. This has moved so fast that this great reporting by Ross Dellinger hasn't even been able to keep up to the speed. By the end of the week, it's happening today, Thursday. That's how it happens, guys. It's wait. And then when it happens, it moves like lightning speed. The expansion is not inexpensive. Each Mountain West school is contractually bound to owe both a $17 million exit fee as well an additional $10 to $12 million penalty fee as part of a scheduling agreement the conference struck with the Mountain West. So this is going to cost these schools a whole lot of money. So Fresno State, Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State are going to have to come up with a way to get this money. I'm sure they already have. I'm sure they have a plan or two. the payout, the get out, so they can play in 2026 in the new PAC. After months of examining future options, league officials determined to reimagine the conference with an expansion approach. In negotiations with potential new members, the Pac-12 officials and third parties have presented a plan that features a new media rights agreement worth more than the Mountain West Conference current or future television package, as well as the sponsorship potential of the Pac-12 brand. The sponsorship potential of the Pac-12 brand. Remember that. Remember that phrase. Sponsorship potential of the Pac-12 brand when we're talking about school number 7, when we're talking about school number 8, when we're possibly talking about school number 9, when we're possibly talking about school number 10 in the new PAC. And I'll give you one hint. You know what? I'm going to wait later in the monologue. The two schools offer attractive assets that could total millions as a result of the 10 schools departing the conference, including monies from the Rose Bowl, the college football playoff, the NCAA basketball units, Pac-12 enterprises, previously Pac-12 network. The league lost its designation as an autonomous power conference, a moniker that gave it more voting privileges within the NCAA governance and more revenue in the playoff distribution model. It is unclear if the conference could regain such a designation. I do not believe it's going to happen, but I've also was told it is not clear either way, but it's probably not going to happen. Again, this story is going to continue well on to 2025. During the Pac-12 Media Days in Las Vegas in July, Gould hosted media members, administrators, coaches, and players for a gathering to celebrate the conference, projecting a bright future and suggesting a potential rebuild. There's a lot of interest in having a high-level conference rooted on the West Coast, she told Yahoo Sports. There's a lot of interest in our communities and fan bases. A lot of people care deeply about the Pac-12 and the Pac-12 brand. There is a lot of nostalgia about the possibility of a rebuild. The Pac-12's first expansion phase considers geographic and cultural significance while serving a blow to the rival Mountain West. The Mountain West Conference, a 12-team football league, counting Hawaii, would lose some of its top brands, despite a scheduling alliance with the Pac-12 that many projected to end with the reverse merger or merger with Oregon State and Washington State. We were not one of the many at Peek Around the Corner. We were not one of the many. We were one of the few that talked about the Frankenstein, about the poach. This is why we set up the Holy Smokes Theater. That's why we put 6 schools at the center on the stage. However, earlier this month, negotiations broke down between the Pac-12 and the Mountain West over adding a second year to the 2024 football scheduling alliance, a fight that most notably involved financial differences, according to those with knowledge of the talks. The move by the Pac-12 could ignite another round of realignment. We're going to get into that in this show. At least 4 of those schools at the group of 5 or even FCS level, in needing to field departures, the Mountain West is likely to evaluate possible members to elevate to FBS. And what would those schools be? South Dakota State Jackrabbits, North Dakota State Bison, possibly the Montana schools. The Pac-12's move may have another ripple effect on the grander stage, the college football playoff. Given the departures in the Pac-12, college football playoff leaders last year voted to change the 12-team expanded playoff format. They removed one automatic qualifying spot and added an at-large bid for a format that features 5 automatic qualifiers for the highest-ranked conference champions and 7 at-large bids. In the next 2 years, the Pac-12 champion is not eligible for an automatic qualifying spot, as it does not meet the playoffs conference minimum requirement. However, starting in 2026, the champion of a rebuilt Pac-12 would presumably be eligible to receive an automatic bid. Okay, a lot to get through in that article. The Mountain West. We're gonna get back into the Pac. We're gonna get back into the Pac-2 news. But the Mountain West, most people believe it's going to rebuild themselves. It's going to have to bring in some new members. It very well could be the top of the FCS division. We have said over the years that South Dakota State and North Dakota State, while they were interested in joining to move up to FBS, they were only really interested in going and joining the Mountain West Conference or the ACC. They were not interested in joining the MAC. If they wanted to join the MAC, North Dakota State and South Dakota State could have joined years ago. So are they interested in joining the Mountain West Conference? We believe yes, but we're going to have to do some more poking and prodding. Obviously, this is not going to be the same Mountain West Conference as it has been. But we're going to be following closely the North Dakota State, South Dakota State decisions. We've got people in the right places. We are working on that right now today. So, again, buckle up. The ripple effects are going to be enormous. Now, there are some people. We talked to one of them. It was reported by a national reporter, Dennis Dodd. And he said, sources are telling CBS Sports that the Mountain West Conference may not entrench themselves. And then the backfield. They might, in his words, Dennis Dodd's words, those remaining Mountain West schools may scatter to the wind. Scatter to the wind. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means that some of those schools are just going to have to go independent. Maybe 1 or 2 schools join Conference USA. Maybe 1 school joins the AAC. I don't know about that. I think it's probably going to be better if they entrench themselves. Again, we're going to be following that story. Brett McMurphy, his report. Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State leaving the Mountain West to join the Pac-12 in 2026, sources told Action Network. An official announcement is expected Thursday morning. We believe it's going to happen in about 30 minutes from now here at Peak Around the Corner. The Mountain West schools will join Oregon State, Washington State, but the Pac-12 still needs 2 more schools to reach 8-school minimum to qualify as an FBS conference. We are going to hit that major part of the story before we go to your phone calls. We're going to let you know what we know here at Peek Around the Corner. Because this is phase 1. There's going to be a phase 2 in the expansion of the new PAC. And then Brett McMurphy goes on to mention how much it's going to cost each of these schools to leave the Mountain West to join the PAC. And then Brett McMurphy of Action Network, puts up a statement from the Mountain West Conference Commission, Gloria Navarez. The Mountain West Conference is aware of media reports regarding the potential departure of several of our members, and we will have more to say in the days ahead. All members will be held to the conference bylaws and policies should they elect to depart. The requirements of the scheduling agreement will apply to the Pac-12 should they admit Mountain West members. Our board of directors is meeting to determine our next steps. The Mountain West has a proud 25-year history and will continue to thrive in the years ahead. And then finally, Jeremiah Dickey, Boise State's athletic director, early in the morning, 12:49 Central Time. And I guess that would be late in the evening in the mountain time of 11:49 p.m. of last night. His message was, "Love you, Bronco Nation. Sleep well." Boise State finally joins the PAC conference. Not the same PAC conference. Okay. Before we get to your phone calls. Again, we've been pushing the envelope this week on this story. For now, obvious reasons. We told you the chatter was extremely heavy. It was coming in waves. A lot of people in the press knew about this. We were given information to say that there was an announcement that was coming. I did not think it was going to be like it was all going to be done Thursday, this first phase. Honestly, I did not. But everything else we were given that it was happening, and this is why we've been talking about it in our early Peak Cloak and Dagger show and our 2 live shows of this week. For UNLV, especially UNLV, which we've had standing next to Colorado State. UNLV still has a decent shot at getting into the new PAC. Remember that phase that I asked you to remember earlier in this monologue when we were reading the article. This is not just about media money. It's also about sponsorship. There's a lot of money in Vegas. In fact, they've had their meetings in Vegas. UNLV has a lot going for it when it comes to their candidacy to get into the Mountain West Conference. So I do not believe the door has been shut on the Rebels. Not at all. Air Force, it's more, they're going to have the dominoes fall correctly for Air Force to get a nod into the Mountain West Conference. But UNLV is still right there, but they were not a part of phase 1 for legal reasons and for strategic reasons. The Mountain West schools of Colorado State, Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, they want a voice in the rebuilt conference. So they're going to get it. They don't have an official vote, but they're going to have a voice. Washington State and Oregon State acquiesced to that, what they needed Those 4 schools, they needed that. Okay. Now for Memphis. On3 is saying an announcement will be made at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, Lee. We have said that. A few times this morning. We were told it's coming at 8. We were told that at 1 o'clock in the morning this morning. So yeah. Now on the question of Memphis. Of course, Washington State and Oregon State would want Memphis. That's obvious. They would want Tulane. That is obvious. Here is the problem that we have been told with Memphis. They have, what has been told to us is that Memphis has, they're not all that hot with the idea of having to travel west for every single sporting event for their student athletes. There is going to be more money. Now, let's be clear. There's going to be more money generated out of the Mountain West Conference. A little bit more money than right now in the AAC. We also have to put out there that the new AAC commissioner has known that his school, a couple of his top value schools, were going to be targets of a poaching from Oregon State and Washington State. We know at Peek Around the Corner, and we've given you this information, other than Brett Yormark, the AAC is most aggressive when acquiring a partnership with some private equity firm. There is a lot going on. There is a lot going on in the G5 world. So we at Peek Around the Corner, and those who we've talked to, Memphis might have some interest. No question about it. Memphis and Tulane are going to be at the top of the target list. But I'm not sure at this time that I can really say that there is more than a 50% of chance of it happening. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, we are taking a big W here and covering this story, but if Memphis ends up in the new PAC, I will take the L. I don't think it's happening. And I know that Memphis would be of great interest. They are, in Tulane. But everything that has been told to me, it ain't what Memphis is looking for. Maybe this new Mountain West Conference, maybe this new PAC conference, maybe the wall to get out of it, if another opportunity comes, maybe the wall won't be so high. Maybe there's going to be an exit hatch for Oregon State and Washington State. Maybe there's going to be an exit. Maybe the exit fee isn't going to be big, or maybe the walls would be so low on the punishment of getting out of the conference a couple years from now, if there's another opportunity that arises for Memphis, like the Big 12 or an imploded ACC, then maybe Memphis would say, okay, it ain't going to hurt us to join the new PAC. But again, we don't believe Memphis is going to join the PAC conference. One of the big issues is Memphis does not want to travel west for every single event in the PAC conference. It's not something that they are particularly interested in. Now let's go to the Texas two-step. Annie, I appreciate you. Please provide links or let me know who is saying all this stuff. I don't mind you putting that stuff in the chat, but when you say people close to the situation, that could be anybody, and I don't. So make sure you say who is saying this. Anyways, in regards to the two-step, appreciate it, Annie. Again, there is a reason why we hurried up and did a live show and pushed the envelope yesterday. I had direct messages saying, Greg, it's football season, week 3. Greg, you did your picks. Why would you do your picks? And why would you do your picks for week 3? Why would you have the PATC community vote on your picks against the spread in week 3 and then do this Texas two-step PAC information? Why did you combine the shows? Because we had to. Because we are college football's peak around the corner. Because we give you the peak around the corner. And that's what we've been doing this week without burning our sources, without going too far, but we did push the envelope as far as we possibly could. Now, Texas two-step. Yes, Washington State and Oregon State are interested in the state of Texas. Yes, would Oregon State and Washington State take a Tulane, a Memphis, even a University of South Florida, way out to the East Coast? Would they take these schools ahead of the schools in Texas? Yes. But if they don't get those schools, and we don't think they will at this time, unless they can promise a whole lot more than they are, the Texas two-step is alive, just like it was alive yesterday. You have seen some reporting from national reporters, a little bit already. And I think Dennis Dodd mentioned UTSA. I don't think Brett McMurphy has. I don't think Pete Thamel has. But I know UTSA has been mentioned in a couple reports. And as we told you yesterday, UTSA is the top target in the state of Texas for Oregon State and Washington State. And there is some reason to believe, and again, I said yesterday, we don't know the interest level of these schools. We still don't. We don't have that information. We're going to be working on it today, but we don't have that information. But the chatter is that these Texas schools would be interested in joining the PAC conference. We don't have that information directly. UTSA is the number one Texas target for the PAC schools. So the ramifications of all of this, the ripple effect is going to go well into 2025. We heard from the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference, We are going to be hearing from them in a few days from now. Are they going to entrench the members that are not on the being targeted by the Mountain West Conference, by the PAC conference, those Mountain West schools, are they going to rebuild their conference, and are they going to go into the FCS world? And we're going to be keeping an eye on North Dakota State and South Dakota State. We are going to open up the phone lines. I went through the monologue as fast as I could. It took me 45 minutes. I didn't want to go longer than 45 minutes. We had a lot of information to give you. We still have a lot of information. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you liked our content today. We're going to go to your phone calls right now. But there has been a reason why we've been on top of this story for 8 months, but especially the last couple of days. And we try to give you the best peek we possibly could. The phone number is 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Give us a call and let's discuss the situation, how it will affect other G5 schools. It's affecting the AAC right now. You don't think the AAC, the new commissioner, is thinking about what Oregon State, Washington State, what they're trying to do? He's been thinking about this for months. He's trying to keep his UTSA in-house. UTEP likely ends up in a rebuilt Mountain West. Ryan Thomas. Again, if you want to support this College Football Rebel Outpost channel with a donation, hit the $sign where you make a comment, and I'll get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Again, smash the like button if you like our content. UTSA and North Texas make a lot of sense, both in major metros. Again, there's going to be targets ahead of the Texas two-step, Sergeant Pickles, as you know, but it could very well, this is an option. This was an option told to us. This is why we put it out yesterday. Yes, I talked about that earlier. Sergeant Pickle. Dodd seems to think the rest of the Mountain West Conference will scatter rather than rebuild. I don't think so. I don't think so. But again, it's all going to come down to, again, the phone lines are open. Give us a call, 763-260-1333. It's all going to come down to what type of media contract, what type of schools the Mountain West Conference can attract. They don't have a media contract after 2026. Who's going to be their media partner? So it's possible. But then again, if the Mountain West schools can entrench, add a couple schools, they're going to be it's going to go to 6 G5 conference. The champions are going to have a shot to get into the playoffs. But it's going to be largely dependent on their media contract. And we'll talk about PAC, the new PAC media contract here in a little bit.
Call from
Chris Kenny.
Chris Kenny, thanks for calling, my man. The floor is yours.
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, sir.
The question I had for you is whether, the escape hatch is two ways. If the ACC is to implode, there could be a minor implosion or there could be a complete implosion. And I wonder if it's a complete implosion and the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12 gobble up, 8 schools, whatever the number is, is there some thinking on the PAC side that Stanford and Cal and SMU, or some combination of those three, might not want to stay in a 6 or 8 team ACC with kind of minor members, but rather come back home to a more Western-based league? I struggle to believe that a major imploded ACC would generate revenue in excess of what, material excess of what a rebuilt PAC would make. And so if you fill up the table too quickly with these other G5 schools, it makes those what are now Power 4 schools more likely to stay put. I wonder if going a little slower and biting those other 3 schools might find a home closer to their geographic base.
Yeah, that's a great call. Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't believe that Teresa Gould and Oregon State and Washington State, they're not going to, they're going to get to 8 schools at least, right? They might even get to 10 schools. But beyond 10 schools, no, I don't think they're going to go beyond 10 schools because of one of the potential scenarios that you just outlined. What if the ACC implodes? And what if it's such an implosion that Stanford and Cal looks like they're going to probably choose that West Coast rooted conference back to the PAC, rejoin the PAC. That's a possibility if the ACC truly implodes in a big way. And there are other reasons why, there is no reason really for this new PAC conference to go beyond 10 members. There might not even be a good reason to go beyond 8. I got a feeling they just might, though. Just because we know they're interested in Texas. They want to get into Texas, but yet they want a couple other targets. So it might work out that they go to 10, 8 or 10, and then wait, right? Wait to see what happens. I think you made up a very good point.
Let me split the difference with you. Here's my wacky call that I will take no accountability for if it comes out to be untrue. I think 9 is the number. If it were me, I would say UNLV makes a lot of sense for all the reasons you've laid out. And I think 2 Texas schools make a lot of sense for recruiting and demographics and television and all the rest. And if I were picking 2, I would pick UTSA number 1, and I would pick Rice at number 2. I think Rice is actually in a better market than, North Texas is not in Dallas, it's in Denton. Rice is in the middle of Houston. And you could stop at 9, play an 8-game conference schedule where you have a full round robin, so you're not overextending yourself trying to find 5 non-conference games rather than 4. And you can make 9 teams work for basketball. It's a little awkward. There's always a team that's on a bye, but it's been done before. You can still build out a pretty decent round robin, home and home basketball schedule that way. But I would go with Rice over North Texas for this reason more than geography. If your goal is to try to keep a seat warm for Stanford and Cal, and to a lesser extent SMU, they're very particular about being with, quote, peer institutions. And I think having Rice in the league over a school like North Texas makes it a little bit more attractive. The beggars can't be choosers. If their league completely blows up, what are they going to do? Well, they could go independent. Stanford certainly could. If they don't get a bid to the Big Ten, which I kind of suspect will be their ultimate home, but let's just assume it's not. Then going to 9 then allows you to add those 3, and then you're at 12. And that's more cohesive league. If you go to 10 and there's 3 of them left, you go to 14. At some point there's diminishing returns. So my call is 9, and I'm going to put Rice on the board behind UTSA. But like I said, that could all be dead wrong.
All righty, man. I appreciate the call. I don't know if Rice is really. I'm just because of what I've heard and what we reported on the last couple days. I think Rice is probably not going to get the tap on the shoulder. But I understand your reasoning, your logic. And if Stanford gets back into the conference, the PAC, maybe that becomes a possibility. I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go. We got another call coming in.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Craig.
sir. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Call from
Jeff Fuller.
Jeff, can you hold on one moment, please?
Yes, sir.
I do appreciate it. Tim W. I recognize Tim W. He's been a follower of mine for a very long time. Mr. Colorado State Ram. Congratulations, Tim. First of all, I want to say congratulations. This is a good step up for Colorado State. In yesterday's show, if you watched Tim, or if anybody else watched, we were going over the John Wilner's last article on this. And it mentioned 5 Mountain West schools that were potential targets for Oregon State, Washington State. Mr. Wilner did not mention Colorado State. If you go back and watch the live show yesterday, I leaned into the microphone a couple times and I said, Colorado State, because we knew what was about to happen, some announcement. So I'm getting a lot of noise, Mr. Fuller. Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of static, a lot of noise coming in here.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess I didn't have this on my bingo card for this time of the year. I know you've been giving us the peek around the corner. And,
I did not know. I did not know that the announcement in 4 minutes from now. In 4 minutes, this becomes official. So, Jeff, I did not know it was happening today. I thought we were told there was going to be an announcement that it's going to happen, not that it is happening. But maybe things moved even faster, or maybe the people I'm not told everything, obviously, for obvious reasons, and that's just like I can't say everything here. But go ahead, Mr. Foley. Yeah, I did not have today on my bingo card as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's almost the opposite of hurry up and wait. It's wait and hurry up. You sort of alluded to that.
Yeah,
I've got some interesting. I looked through all kinds of data. I've been working up some fan base estimates and looking at core fans, sort of casual fans versus core fans, and sort of using that to sort of calculate up a total fan base and their serious fans, and then looking at sort of their latent or dormant fans, and I've got all that data sort of in sort of completion. I'm just doing the write up of it now, and that's should be coming out in the next few days to week or so. I'm heading off on a vacation tomorrow for a week, but just interestingly, of the Mountain West Conference, guess who are the 4 schools who, based on all this data I've aggregated, it's based on alumni size, it's based on attendance at games in football and basketball. I've even looked at attendance of those 2 non-revenue sports and given a little slice to sort of total cumulative attendance. Say a team has a strong hockey program or a strong baseball program. I mean, those are fans and they have value to a program and to a conference. Maybe not much media value, but there's still some inherent value there. Looking at social media data, looking at, all kinds of things, even fan passion surveys, looking at the total number of staff, employees who work at a university, that's low-hanging fruit for fan base. Looking at all these things, guess who are the top 4 Mountain West schools in total fans? I mean, Boise State's up there. They're like, I think they're 59th out of, there's 70 power schools now in the Power Four, right? With the addition of SMU and 4 new Big 12 schools added a year ago: Houston, Cincy, UCF, and BYU. But yeah, Boise State, they're up there close to where Oregon State is. Oregon State, I think they're 56th, and Boise State, not far behind. And Boise State would actually be the second largest fan base now in this new Pac-12, new version of the Pac-12. But yeah, it then goes down to next is Fresno State. They're around 60th, and still, about 63rd or so. Colorado State's the lowest at about 80th, and San Diego State's a little ahead of that in like the high 70s in total fan base size. But again, they all sort of group together. The power schools who are close. Stanford and Cal are right in that same fan base size that I've calculated. And this is looking at all fans, not just football fans, but mainly focused on football and basketball fans. UConn is the highest, of all non-power schools at about 50th in total fan base size. But yeah, looking down the list, they do seem to have said, hey, we're the schools with the bigger brands, the most fans, the potential for more media money. And there's other factors, of course, we talk about market size and other such things. But yeah, there are some schools who are probably going to be struggling. There's Hawaii, Nevada, these schools. Even Utah State. Utah State's in a growing state and a strong sort of market for football, but they're just sort of not up there with the bigger
Wyoming.
dogs. Yeah, Wyoming's a little higher on fans, but again, the demographics are against them.
Yeah.
The smallest state, and who outside of Wyoming is just itching to be a Wyoming fan. You're starting. You can be a huge fish in a tiny pond. That doesn't mean you're nationally relevant. So yeah, some of these schools and programs are going to struggle from that standpoint. But I was interested to see Stanford and Cal group there, but I think there's no way. First of all, I don't think there's any way that this new Frankenstein conference, as you talk about, gets automatic qualifier status. I just don't.
I just
don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of we've been talking about the consolidation and relegation phase of conference realignment, and unfortunately, even though there's some great fans and some strong, passionate fan bases, Oregon State and Washington State have been relegated through this process. They didn't get picked up, even though their conference mates went to 3 different power conferences. They didn't get picked up by any of them. And that sort of gives you your answer right there, that they've been left out of the inside club, the power status. So
can I interrupt?
So I just don't think.
Jeff,
of course.
Jeff, I apologize. We got breaking news.
Yeah.
I apologize to Mr. Jeff Fuller, a valued member of the PATC community. Breaking news. San Diego State Aztecs have officially accepted an invitation to join the Pac-12. I anticipate the other 3 to roll in any second now. Go ahead, Jeff. Continue on, but I might have to interrupt you again.
Sure. And again, we won't be surprised. That's an interesting headline, San Diego State to the Pac-12. I think about 2 years ago we were told that was happening by plenty of people at San Diego State, but it was under a different version of a surviving Pac-12. But I guess finally they got the headline right. But San Diego State, great basketball program, solid market, great recruiting grounds. I see their upside. I think they make sense with this new. It's almost like a new and improved Mountain West. I don't think anyone.
Yeah. But they're gonna get the assets, the branding, probably some old relationships with sponsorship. It's definitely an improved Mountain West. Let me just break in here one moment. We are ecstatic to be joining the Pac-12 Conference, San Diego State Director of Athletics John David Wicker said, "While we are grateful to be a founding member of the Mountain West with 26 years of success in the conference, we are excited at what lies ahead with these new opportunities. We will continue to compete for conference championships on the field and to graduate leaders in the community." Thank you, Jeff, for letting me interrupt you again. Go on, sir.
Oh yeah, no, I think the big picture is, obviously they stopped at 4 for 2 reasons. Is just for, if they're going to throw the Hail Mary and go for Stanford and Cal, I still don't see how Stanford and Cal would do that. Just the academic sort of circles that they run in make way more sense with the ACC, and I just don't see how they would give up automatic qualifying status just for scheduling and logistical convenience. But that's just me. I do think the Texas schools make sense. I'm interested in seeing what happens with the Great Northwest brands, FCS brands that are strong schools, strong fan bases. Those are not included in my calculations of all the FBS schools, but might start digging into those because those are some strong, relatively, obviously, again, small states, limited potential, but those are some, they sort of run the show up there in that region. Be interested to see who they add. Memphis, obviously, comes to mind. They're one of the stronger fan bases. Tulane research, but their fan base, they're down around in the 90s or even close to 100. Very small fan base. Actually, App State is a huge fan base. USF, but I can't see them wanting to sort of join something that far across the country when they are in the on deck circle for the ACC. If there's any ACC poaching and drama, USF as an AAU member, and they know they're just sitting right there to pick up the next spot in the ACC. So, yeah, interesting times. Appreciate the show. Great job. And I'll hang up and listen.
Appreciate it, Mr. Fuller. Thank you, sir. Great call as always. Beautiful. Jeff Fuller, very valuable member of the PATC community, always giving us great information. We've got more breaking news. Nicole Auerbach, Boise State has officially announced his move to the Pac-12 alongside San Diego State, Fresno State, and Colorado State. The 4 schools will join the Pac-12 on July 1st, 2026. So all the news is coming in. As we said at the beginning of the show, it was going to happen an hour from now, 9 o'clock Eastern time. This time, San Diego State is joining the Pac-12 for real. Ryan Thomas, the Evil Badgers, should be banished to the Pac. I can't say that, Ryan Thomas. The Evil Badgers are the Big Ten. Of course, they're part of the Big Ten. Even though I think they're evil, they are definitely Big Ten. I know you're joking around. Thank you, Ryan Thomas. I can't even go that far, Ryan Thomas. I can't even go that far. Thank you for the super chat, helping us keep the lights on here. Here's the deal. Rock and Ran. I thought Washington State and Oregon State wanted to wait a few months. I think we're going to read that the walls are pretty low on this conference to get out of the conference. The exit hatch, I think, is going to be built. That has to be part of this. We were told that there was going to be an announcement later this week but I didn't know it was going to be exactly, oh, we're in. I thought it was going to be, we are going to be in the conference. And that it was going to go into 2025. This is still going to go into 2025. This is phase one. Okay, so that's what we talked about. Colorado State release says that the new schools will have immediate voting privileges on issues such as media rights, conference membership, etc. Different than what happens in the Power Conference. We were told at 1 o'clock in the morning through text messages, and we delivered this information when we started this live show an hour ago. The Oregon State, Washington State acquiesced. There's a lot of moving pieces going on here. To get these 4 schools on board, they wanted to have official voting rights or unofficial voting rights, whatever. They wanted a voice in determining who comes in after them for membership and their media rights. This is what one of the pieces of information we started our show this morning. One of the reasons why they're doing it in phases. The other reason is legal. Justin Lucas, you would know about that. Legal reasons. This is what Oregon State, Washington State, the commissioner, Teresa Gould, and their legal department felt comfortable with. Take 4 Mountain West schools, and then the next phase will proceed on. UNLV is still in the mix. We believe UTSA is heavily in the mix. We believe that Memphis and Tulane would be the top targets, but don't know if they're interested. We've been told that Memphis does not want to travel west for every sporting event. Travel west and go fly home back east for every single sporting event, for every one of the student athletes on away games. Now, the Mountain West is going to make more money than the AAC, at least for a couple years there, before the AAC contract flips over. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. Give us a call. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. Please become a member. Those who are members, like Mick Stevens, Terry Kane, Jared Jones, they saw our episode 46 of a couple days ago. For those who've been watching our live shows, it's been all about college football week 3 games. This week, it's been all talking about college football week 3 games and talking about the PAC-2. Why did we focus on the PAC-2 this week? This is the reason why.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, the floor is yours. Let it rip.
Fun stuff, Greg.
Yes.
Looks like our evil space badger overlords are reshaping college football again. So, I think probably UTSA and North Texas are probably the top picks on that. I wouldn't be surprised. I think UNLV is probably definitely in the mix. Maybe Air Force, we'll see, but certainly I think larger overall, there may be an FBS split coming very soon, in my opinion. Right now, we might actually be seeing, as we have further consolidation, we might be seeing sort of the top-end G5 brands right now moving into this PAC conference or the ACC or Big 12, depending on how it all shakes out and who gets poached and who goes where. I mean, we might end up having a situation where, the actual the original P5 might be actually the split, but rebuilt in some fashion. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it looks like it's going to be very hard for some of those schools in Conference USA or the Sun Belt or others or the MAC to really compete long term. I think we might be seeing kind of a natural split in the FBS happening right now, and very well may be that it is 5 conferences, and kind of the top end G5 brands end up in those conferences in some form or fashion between the Pac-12, Big 12, and ACC, and very well that might happen, and we'll go from there and expanded 14-team playoff where you have 5 conference champion auto bids and maybe the Big 10 and the SEC, and get 3 or 4 of those bids, and ACC and Big 12 get 2, and then whoever left gets 1. But it'll be interesting to see. But I think this is a sign of something bigger. I think this is a sign of kind of the beginning of not just the G5 consolidation. I think it's the beginning of the split of FBS. Okay. But anyway, that's all I have. I don't want to take up too much time. Great show, Greg. Have a great day, and I appreciate all that you do.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Great call, sir. Ricky, thank you so much once again for your incredible generosity, helping us keep the lights on here, to be able to do these morning shows. We're going to be doing a watch party later tonight. Arizona State, Texas State. We're going to be doing that game tonight, so join us again. Working hard today on a Thursday. Thank you so much, Ricky, for helping us keep the lights on. Big Ten fan, Breezy Frey, Gringo Billy, Greg Gantz, and Ryan Martin. Please, when you have an opportunity, please say thank you to Ricky for his incredible generosity, for his gifted memberships. Thank you, Ricky. And those 5, you are all officially knighted, cloak and dagger.
Call from
Sergeant Pickles.
Sergeant Pickles, can you hold on one moment, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you to Ricky Tungate once again for his generosity. He's been very generous to our show, helping us keep the lights on. Really, 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 we appreciate it so very much, Mr. Tungate. Sergeant Pickles, now this is going on, in your part of the country here. Not quite your part of the country, but over there on the west, there's going to be a significant G5, I think a significant G5 conference being rebuilt along the Pacific coast, so to speak. What are your thoughts on these developments this morning?
In my opinion, it was overdue when the writing was on the wall that Oregon State and Washington State were not getting invites to the ACC or Big 12.
Yeah.
And they took the obvious choices. I think, in my opinion, as you said, it's phase 1, and a phase 2 could be a UNLV, Air Force.
Yeah.
And the curious one with Air Force is, do they go to the AAC just to consolidate the service academies? But we'll find that out on its own.
Yeah. Yes.
As far as the conference itself, I think it's a clear G5 favorite, where you could make the sales pitch to teams that you're possibly inviting that you will have a chance to make that automatic 5th spot more years than not being in this conference. It to be the undisputed G5 conference.
Yes. I would agree. Now, the AAC still might have something to say about that, but I agree with you. This is going to be the elite G5 conference, at least on paper.
Yeah, definitely. And secretly, I don't think it's likely, although possible, but I'm pulling for my Montana Grizzlies perhaps to drag their Montana State Bobcats with them and end up in some form of Super G5. But because I believe they do fit, although there are better options in Texas and elsewhere. I looked at Memphis and Tulane also, but I just think logistically we're seeing G5 conferences go more regional. They're trying to limit travel. And although they would also be strong brands to add in value to the conference, I think that you can accomplish something similar and cut travel costs by looking in Texas and a little bit closer to home for the Pac-12.
Yeah. Now, can I ask you a question about the Apple Cup?
Yes, sir.
Are you a little nervous about this Washington State quarterback? John Mateer?
Yep, John Mateer. He certainly got the legs on him. He can run all day if you let him.
He's running around all over the place, making plays. Now, I took Washington in this game. I hope I don't scare you, but I took Washington -5. I know the Huskies are going to have to overcome the fat guy from Minnesota to be able to pull this game out. But Will Rogers has gotten a really good start on the season. Your running back Coleman has gotten a really good start on the season. So, I mean, you're humming along. I think you're going to be able to handle Washington State. But that quarterback, and they've also got a good running back, but that quarterback, he's kind of a different cat. So it's going to be interesting to watch. What are your emotions going into that game?
No disrespect to the Texas Tech Red Raiders, but Washington, I think, presents a new challenge for Wazoo. Because although the roster is completely reconstructed, it was reconstructed with good components. A lot of really skilled guys who are starting at Arizona and elsewhere. And we haven't really been tested yet. Played Eastern Michigan, and Washington has actually not surrendered a touchdown on defense yet. So the defense is playing extremely well. There are still questions about the offensive and defensive lines. But Bill Belichick's defense, he loves to blitz. And I think he's going to stay disciplined this week. He's going to have a spy on John Mateer and say, go ahead, beat us with your arm, because I bet you we can't do it. We have guys like Ephesians Prysock, who's an NFL caliber corner. And if they can make him one-dimensional, he may still break a couple of runs. He's an extremely good athlete. But if you can make him one-dimensional, I don't see Wazoo putting up anything more than 17 to 24-ish points, somewhere in there. And that Washington offense, even Texas Tech was able to score against Wazoo's defense. They're just not as deep on the back end. They have good linebackers that can cover well, but Jonah Coleman's just an absolute hammer. And I think that he hasn't played beyond the midway in the third quarter in either game, and he still has racked up more than 100 yards in both games so far and multiple touchdowns. So if he gets a full workload in a game, my final score prediction was Washington 34, Wazoo 23.
Okay.
So
we're both on the same side
of
this.
Don't fret, Greg.
Huh?
Yeah, don't fret, because in the last 14 Apple Cups, Washington is 12-2.
Okay, but what are they against the spread? That's what I want to know.
I believe that record's pretty good also, because 6 or 7 of the games have been triple 3-score by the end for Washington.
Yeah. All right.
So it'll be a fun week. It's weird to be playing the Apple Cup early in the season rather than some Thanksgiving leftovers, but it's an exciting week, and I would encourage anyone, check out the Apple Cup and Civil War. They are 100-year type historic rivalries, and they're a lot of fun.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sergeant Pickles. When are you back on the old Mafia show?
We have our Big Ten Mafia show Mondays, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. I'm on a little bit of hiatus, going on vacation with the family, but Moen and the bunch will be holding it down for me, and maybe you can stop by and give us some little Golden Gopher wisdom there, Greg.
Or Golden Gopher propaganda.
Either way, we'd love to have you.
Got it. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Love you, man. Great
All right,
job.
thank you. Go Dogs.
You got it. Beautiful. Yeah, interesting game. Watch the Apple Cup. John Mateer, quarterback, Washington State. I think Washington is going to have too much for the Cougars, but interesting game. So let me just show you what the PAC-12 has put out on their Twitter account. There it is. Boise State Bronco, the Colorado State Ram, Fresno State Bulldog, Oregon State Beaver, San Diego State Aztec, Washington State Cougar. There is the Pac-12, 6 teams. It needs at least 2 more. It needs at least 2 more. And what are those 2 schools going to be? Well, we don't have that information, but we've been working on it. That's why we've been doing these live shows and the membership show. And I think.
Call from
Evil Badger.
I'm sorry, did not get the name.
Evil Badger.
Hello, caller?
Evil Badger.
Oh, Evil Badger. Ryan Willie is on the line. Thanks for calling again, man. Appreciate it. The floor is yours, sir.
So you had mentioned that the Pac-12 2.0, I'll put it that way, is considering UNLV.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they consider Nevada also?
Just don't think they well, I don't think they have. They've been working on this for months, and we were told early on the valuations came through in the core 4 that are part of phase 1 were the top 4, and then it was UNLV, then it was Air Force, and that's how we put them on the stage. I can't go. I don't have a flow chart to show you. I don't have one of those beautiful charts. I don't know all the things that went into it, but I just know Nevada has not been part of the targeting of Washington State and Oregon State, and we don't anticipate them to be part of the new Pac-12 conference. In fact, that they're at the lower end of the valuation. UNLV is the next in line when it comes to the valuation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one more thing. Ryan Thomas should eat less cheese and more meat with the cheese, like on a cheeseburger.
Yeah. Don't listen to Ryan Thomas. His cheese have slipped off his cracker a long time ago, sir. So don't worry about him.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right. Bye.
Great call. Leslie A. Hill, thank you so much, Leslie, for the super chat. Thank you for helping us keep the lights on. I do appreciate your generosity. Thank you so very much.
Call from
Immaculate Mr. Hawkeye is on the line. The floor is yours.
Greg, it's early.
Yep. Yeah, well, this is where I could fit it in. I'm a busy man.
No,
I got a watch party later tonight. So and I could be on the air again with another live show because, well, there's other stuff going on. So, and I knew there was going to be an announcement on this. I didn't know it was going to be this Immaculate. I did not know we were going to get a Thursday where we were going to have teams officially being invited and being voted on and becoming a member of the new Pac-12 conference. At that, we were getting an announcement that was, this is where it's heading, this is what's going to happen. But man, oh man, did it really, this is why I've been talking about this issue this week, because it was coming to a head, and the chatter I said was heavy, heavy, heavy. I gave a lot of hint and clues out there, but I did not know was exactly was going to be this. So yeah, I'm sorry about the early morning live program, Mr. Hawkeye. I know you're out in Arizona, but it's the only place I could fit it in my schedule today.
No, and with the announcement coming this morning, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just kind of reading over it, the PAC put out the official announcement. It looks like these 4 schools are getting the status of being able to vote on any future additions.
Yes, sir.
So that probably explains why it's just these 4 now.
Yes,
They're
sir.
the partners going forward, and we say, why not like you and Levine does? Well, they're the ones to be considered at this point going forward and not part of the initial voting group. So that's interesting to see.
Yes, sir.
I had heard a little bit that they were looking at Stanford and California, which didn't seem the case. But I don't know if you saw, I guess Dennis Dodd spoke against that.
I did not. I've seen some of his stuff. Yeah, I don't. I mean, you know how it is, right? I mean, you definitely know how this works. It's, you start with the very top targets first, right? You start with you want to see if Stanford and California will come home. You're trying to get Tulane and Memphis on board. You start with the top targets in the Mountain West Conference. You're gonna get some no's. You're gonna get some, we're not interested. We're gonna get some, we'll see, what can you give us? And I don't think a Stanford and a California would be interested at this time.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think, one, the ACC, if anything is even happening, that's a big if. That was definitely had to have been put somewhat on hold based upon what the House settlement stuff happened. And I think that had a big part to do with this. I think that timing cannot be ignored. That everyone was kind of shocked and surprised with what happened with the House settlement situation, with it, looking like now it might possibly even go to trial. That's going to extend timelines. It's going to extend things to happen. And Oregon State and Washington State do not have that kind of time. So I don't know if all doors were closed. I just don't think any doors are going to be open to them in the timeline that they needed. And so here we are. But let me ask you like a far looking forward question. How quickly do they need to add 2 more schools? Because they still have another year of the special status from the NCAA, right? Where they don't technically need to have schools. Mm-hmm. Could this be a situation where these 6 schools look to, dare I say, merge or create another entity with other groups of schools to kind of create the true top next conference, right? Like I call it like a gatekeeper style conference, where it's really not just a Western focused one, but this is the Western wing. Like they're saying, we're the Western wing. Does that make sense to you, or is that just looking a little too far?
No, I get what you're saying. I don't think they have. Well, so we actually said, I think a couple days ago, maybe even yesterday, we said when we knew something was going to hit this week on an announcement. We didn't know it was going to be all finalized, but we were told that this could go on to the spring of 2025. In other words, that the conference would be rebuilt by the spring of 2025. And and that Washington State and Oregon State would use that time. You know, they still would have time to where if there was an implosion in the ACC. But it looks like they decided just to create the 6 team, and so I think we have. If I'm using the information that I was given earlier this week, it would seem to say that Oregon State and Washington State would have until the spring of 2025 to grab another 2 members. Now, again, all of this is sort of like, well, who are the members and what is their responsibility to the conference that they're in, right? Maybe they have to say they're out earlier. You know what I'm saying? It's so largely dependent on who exactly the members are going to be. So when you ask the question, how quick do they have to do it? Again, it depends on probably largely who is the 2 conference members that they're going to add. I was told at 1 o'clock in the morning that UNLV is still in this, that the Texas 2-step is still in this, options for Oregon State, Washington State. There are legal reasons why they did a phase 1. The legal department of Teresa Gould and Washington State and Oregon State, kind of like what the Big Ten did with the Pac-12, right?
Yep.
Okay, there's legal reasons. So, and I was also told that Memphis is not all that hot on the idea because every one of the student athletes for every sponsored event would have to travel west, and they're not really hot on that, even though they know those those Pac-12 schools are going to make more money than they are. So we'll see. You know, I think all this is being still negotiated.
It's super tricky. Like, you just touched on great points, and I talked about this a little bit on Twitter last night. That I know you talked to Texas team possibility and all these things, but I remember because I found a video of the then Texas AD speaking with the Chamber of Commerce and telling them that they in very plain form that they ended up not liking the idea of sending all of their student athletes west 2 time zones for every sport, because the time you lose when the game happens, the travel back, losing the hours coming back, that they just found that it was really bad. And that's one of those things that wasn't talked about much because, it's just not a realignment talking point.
Yeah.
But it was a very low-key discussion he was having, and it seemed very real. And it's one of those things that I think has to be considered, is that any 2 schools from the East looking to join this, they're going to be traveling west so much.
Yeah.
Like, you are sending your kids, like, we're not just talking football here now. As an AD, you have to think, like, and these guys, they do care about the other sports, right? And you do have to recruit for those. And you're going to have to tell those kids, yep, this is what you're going to, you're looking at a decrease in all your other sports if you do this. And so I don't know. I think that this is going to be a little bit tougher sale than they might be sure. So I get that's maybe why they're doing it like this, right? You just take the 4 best brands. You don't want to have it be too much when you're trying to sell the Eastern schools, right? Like, if they had taken UNLV and they had taken, now you're talking about all these extra ones. Whereas now with the smaller group, you could maybe bring on 2 from the East, and they could still do plenty of scheduling with some others out East. I don't know, but that's going to be a challenge, and that's kind of why I put it forward that maybe they need to think about themselves being the Western wing of something bigger. I just happen that that's 6 times 4 is 24. If they're like one of 4 divisions in a future thing, I don't know. Well, I don't know.
This
That's
is
kind of my thought.
Matt Baker, to your point, Immaculate. Matt Baker, the Tampa Bay Times, posted, I'm studying the Pac-12 expansion announcement, and this caught my eye. Its criteria included quote, academics and athletics performance, media in brand evaluation, commitment to athletic success, geography and logistics, culture in student athlete welfare. Who else fits this criteria? I had a question earlier in the chat room saying who would be your two guesses right now for the two spots. Well, it's got to be somebody that they're interested, obviously, and someone that would be interested back. Right now, I'm going to eliminate Memphis and Tulane only because I don't know if they're sold on the idea. I think there may be talks going on, right? So I'm going to lower like a UNLV, and a UTSA, I think probably in my eyes are right now at the top of the list. Especially from, there's a reason why I had UNLV to the right of Colorado State on the stage. Their evaluation came in just below Colorado State. Shoot, man, there are meetings on UNLV. I think UNLV's got to be, I know they're still in the mix. At least that's what we're told. But I'm going to go with UNLV and UTSA. But, now, Immaculate, now that there is 6 teams locked in, now it becomes more real, right, to everybody. The AAC, everybody, the ripple effect is real now for everybody. Now we'll see if a Memphis and a Tulane say, there's a few extra, it's going to be a little bit more money over there. We'll see if the dynamics change now that this becomes more real. Your thoughts?
I think they're in a bit of a catch-22 right now. I think, what I said, you want to have your lowest number that you can go and get yourself a TV deal. Because now you need to get yourself a TV deal. But I don't know if 6 is enough because, it's not enough for the NCAA. And we did not get any new governance, any new rule changes, or anything that we thought we might be getting. So right now, you still have to plan off of those rules. And so they don't have enough right now to really go sell to networks. So they need something else. But as you already said, they did this for legal reasons. That's why I cut out UNLV right now, because now you're possibly crossing that threshold of legal whatever that line they didn't want to cross. So I think it has to be 2 that are not in the Mountain West, unless the Mountain West goes and adds more schools in, which they're going to look at. But I don't think they're going to do the PAC any favors of inviting in any more schools anytime soon. So I would say it has to be 2 from the East. And if you're an AAC school, if you go and join this, you are making your travel life considerably harder. And for what? They don't have a deal yet, and you have a deal with ESPN. I think the odds are that they get a better deal. But I think that depends upon who they get from the East. Because you need to have those spots so you can offer, the early morning, not the early morning, but like the noon Eastern football time, and to have those central time zone spots. That's been a big problem for the PAC in the past. That's not over with. That still is there. We still have to look at some of these old problems. They're carried on and still owned by the PAC. They still have to take these into consideration. So it's tough because you want to look at the top ones of the East and say, yeah, these are targets, but does the UTSA take that on? Do they maybe have to go down to the next one? Do they maybe have to look at a Texas State? Do they I don't know. It's going to be tough. I honestly don't even want to pick because it's, like I said, it's kind of a catch-22. There's the obvious targets, first say Stanford, California. I think that's a no. Then you have to start looking at AAC schools, and I don't know if you can make the sell. Now, if maybe there's some networks that are like, we like this, we'll make a deal when it goes to 8. We would like to see you go there, but I don't think any networks are going to get that involved with, helping make this happen per se. So
I wonder if TNT is going to get involved in the new Pac-12.
Well, that's another thing too. Does this cause them to back out of their deal with Mountain West? Mm-hmm. Do they see arguably the top 4 brands of the Mountain West leave? Meaning, hey, do they now challenge whatever contract they just worked with Mountain West? Do we see that pop up? I mean, if we see that pop up, now I think you're going to have to look at them both in the mix with this, but also now maybe the Big 12 reaches out to them, says, hey, why don't you come look over here, or the ACC or the AAC. I mean, this could go in multiple directions still at this point in time.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I think that the Mountain West is going to have their targets to look at, but I don't think there's any guarantees at this point. And you'll probably be better at hearing things, and that'll be a lot more helpful. And I don't even really want to say like who I think, because there's a lot of complications to 2 Eastern or Central schools joining up with those 4.
Yep.
It's a considerable venture to undertake with good potential, but a lot of upfront costs. So we'll see how that goes.
Alrighty, man. I appreciate it, Immaculate.
Absolutely. Good to hear from you, and really appreciate you being on the cusp of this. I know you came out and said something about this, I think it was Tuesday-ish.
Yeah.
And I heard from somewhere else that this thing was figured out on Tuesday. So you seem to have heard about it right away. So congratulations on that.
You got
really
it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Later.
Appreciate those kind words from Mr. Hot Guy Immaculate.
Call from
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant. Can you just hold on for a moment, please?
Sure.
I appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to PATC community Robert Perez, Fresno State Bulldog. I'm very thankful that Fresno State was one of the first with an invite, part of the phase 1. So many times we have been overlooked, undervalued, underestimated. Thank you, God. Congratulations, Robert Perez. I know there's been a lot of tough things going on at Florida State. I've had to deliver the tough news, I've had to say tough news about Fresno State in the past, but not this time. So congratulations to Fresno State Bulldogs for finally getting over the hump to a new. Now, of course, it's probably most likely going to be a G5, G6 conference, but there is the opportunity for it to be the most valued G5 conference. And that is a better spot than the Mountain West Conference was when they were always going to be at the same plane as the AAC. Thank you, Robert Perez. Congratulations, Robert Perez. Rock and Rant, the floor is yours.
Well, I got to tell you, the Pac-12 just doing announcements at 6 a.m. on the West Coast is not a good sign of their scheduling ability. But definitely interesting how this wound up happening during the middle of football season when we all thought we were going to have a break. In terms of UNLV, I think it's interesting what they did overall in the conference, right? Like they took those 4 other members because at full voting right away, because you don't want to have two schools already dominating the conference with voting rights going very to. It's almost like they had to do that to balance it out so that nobody felt like it was just their playground, and a new version of Tobacco Road starting where two schools had a lot of overwhelming control. And now you have a balance where, Oregon State and Washington State know where all the bodies are buried, so to speak. They know the terms, they know the relationships, or there's just two of them. And now you have four other schools that have a longer relationship together and could form a voting bloc, but they don't have all of the history across all of the connections and the apparatus and the things that they inherited from the demise of the original Pac-12. So it's kind of a nice balance. And to me, when you get to like a UNLV, there's literally no reason for them to do anything now to open themselves up to legal stuff when you let Mountain West happen, because you have till June 30th or July 1st of next year to still get any other Mountain West school in for the time that the other schools are going to join, right? Like that's the bylaws date for the academic year for the Mountain West Conference. I just double checked it to make sure it wasn't like something weird like the old Pac-12 was August 1st or 2nd, like that. So that clock remains. And I see no scenario where UNLV is not one of those schools. One, because of just the audience and things that others have already alluded to, but that is essentially the first or second biggest DMA market and city, and just like a fun city to be in, regardless of how that school has performed in the past. That you're just going to want to bring in to leverage for conference events and for sponsorship opportunities and raw potential cash to come into the program. So I wouldn't be freaking out if I was a UNLV fan. I'd be definitely freaking out if I was a Nevada fan in Reno. So that's my take. As far as the other schools that go, like, who the hell knows? It makes sense that Texas could happen. One of the Texas schools or two of them, that all makes sense. The things that I think are sort of interesting are, does the Mountain West take that, right now, about $150 million they're going to get from exit fees and penalty fees from the scheduling agreement that they did, and help offset the costs of moving up to this level of football for South Dakota State and North Dakota State. Like, that seems a pretty logical inducement to do that. So I'm curious about your take, whether you think that's something that they will do.
What was that last part?
Do you think that the Mountain West will take the exit fee penalties they're going to get from those four departing members, as well as the penalty I think Washington State and Oregon State owe the conference for poaching, which I think the total is somewhere between, I think it's $150 million total, but it's at least north of $110 million, to help a school like North Dakota State or South Dakota State move up a level. The entry fee, the $5 million, it might be to play at the same level. Do you see that as being something the Mountain West
I think
really
that
consider?
is a great that is a great question, comment, because you're right. I mean, North Dakota State, South Dakota State would have to pay $5 million, just to get into the door, to go up a level, plus everything else they're going to need to do.
Right.
Boy, that is very interesting. I have not had one conversation about that.
You can make an argument those two brands are bigger because they've just been so dominant over the last few years in their level, that they're bigger than some of the brands that are remaining in the Mountain West.
Yeah, and the fact that they have crazy fans. I mean, they don't have much of them, but they're crazy. I mean, they're going to go, go ask any Big Ten, go ask Oklahoma State. There's a lot of jackrabbits in the stands. So yeah, they don't have much media value. They're not going to have big football attendance. But they're crazy fans. I know that. We know that up here in the Midwest. Yeah, and boy, that is interesting. Something I'm going to ask about, something you should keep your eye on, and I don't have an answer. I would say, I think that's possible. I haven't had one conversation about that. And I've had millions of conversations in the last 7 days on this.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something that just dawned on me when I thought about the amount of money that they're getting, and they have however many members to divide that up to. But if you're also going to backfill and you're trying to think of who are the best ones that could add a lot of value, if you're thinking the next level, not just like poaching from lesser G5s, that's definitely a path you could go to. And there's a scratch my back, scratch your back kind of approach that could happen there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then the other two, like, random things just to throw out there is, what happens to, for San Jose State, if we use the UC model of UCLA having to pay Berkeley for leaving, and granted the money difference is significantly different.
Yeah.
Fresno State and San Diego State are part of the other parallel California State University system that San Jose State is in. Is there any fallout there? Are they going to have to do like Cal State Amoni Light for San Jose State, whatever the difference may be between what the ultimate new Pac-12 deal is and the Mountain West deal going probably down if their deal's already up in another year or two. So there's that. And just to throw a complete out of left field one, as they get to 8 members or whatever that total might be, do they think about Gonzaga and one up Big 12? Like all these schools are in the same general vicinity, and if they are even, do they think out of the box and not just think of they have to get to 8 football members for the current conference rules.
Yeah.
There's nothing that says that they couldn't be a possible solution for better competition for Gonzaga week to week if the Big 12 is going to keep, sort of dating them and then moving on.
Yeah. Fantastic phone call, Rock and Rant. The Fresno State San Jose thing could be a big deal.
It's San Diego State. They're all 3 of those are the same system.
Yeah, and I think it's knowing what I know or knowing what I've been told about Fresno State, they cannot afford to lose any money. They have they've got some investing to do. San Diego State already made the investment, right? Boise State continues to make investment. Colorado State had made a huge investment on the stadiums. San Diego State as well. It's Fresno State that is well behind those other 3 schools. So they probably there may be some sort of benchmarks that Fresno State has to do with investment. So they have like some sort of San Jose tax on Fresno State, even though it would be a lot less money. Anything, $800,000, whatever that tax would be, I think would be not good news for Fresno State. Great question. Gonzaga thing, great question. Could be a basketball edition. I've written these down on a card here. I got these note cards all over my office, and I will be poking and prodding on that, Rock and Rant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. And one last quick thing. I don't think anybody should read into Stanford and Cal not taking a chance to go here as an indication of their security about the ACC. It's more like they have literally no reason to ever worry about getting a Pac-12 invite, because if the ACC imploded and Big Ten didn't materialize, there's no scenario where the new Pac-12 would not invite them back as a 10th and 11th member, or 11th or 12th. So they don't have to make that decision right now. They can ride it out. They don't have to be the first to move. They could always be last because they would always get a home.
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of work to do, Greg.
Yeah, I do, and I've been working on this. So I've been working really hard on this week because we knew something was coming. So, but more work ahead. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye.
Great call by Rock and Rant, and I'm going to be poking and prodding on what he just asked. Great comments. Yeah. whatever how much work I had to do, Rocket Rant just put some more on the top of it. So before I get into Brett McMurphy's article, he just released this morning. He just released about 10 minutes ago. Please, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Make sure you have your notifications turned on. We can come on at any time during the day, morning, night, midnight, anytime, 2-3 times a day. We're going to be coming on later tonight to do a watch party. Arizona State, Texas State. We cover everything in college football. Nobody does a better job, in my humble belief, on stuff like this and realignment than we do at Peek Around the Corner. So please subscribe, have your notifications turned on. If you want to support through a donation the hard work that we do here at Peek Around the Corner, we spend more time on this stuff off camera than we do on camera, as you have another example of what happened again this week. If you want to support this College Football Rebel Outpost channel with a donation, hit the $, and we'll get to your comment your super chat, as soon as we possibly can. I do have the phone lines turned off for a moment. I just wanted to get to Brett McMurphy. Pac-12 adds Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State. I want to get to this part. The 6 Pac-12 members will chart and vote on any additional members in other future conference business. As we begin this show this morning at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 hours ago, we reported to you all from the very get-go of this live show, before it was reported everywhere, we said Oregon State and Washington State has acquiesced. They've given the powers, even though they're not official members, they've given the powers to these 4 schools: Fresno State, Boise State, Colorado State, and San Diego State. These 4 new schools have the power on creating this conference along with Oregon State, Washington State. Who are the candidates? Who's going to be 7? Who's going to be 8? And if there's a 9 and a 10, who are those going to be? Who are the candidates? That's to be determined, sources told Action Network. The PAC could pursue 2 more Mountain West schools. UNLV and Air Force would be at the top of the list, sources said. Okay. So again, this has matched our exact, in the Holy Smokes Theater, on the stage. We've been giving you this information for months. Boise State was at the center. Fresno State was at the right side of Boise State. Then on the left side of Boise State was San Diego State, Colorado State, then UNLV and Air Force. And as you can see, UNLV and Air Force would be the next top of the list. Sources told Action Network. Sources have told Peek Around the Corner for months. And the chatter behind the curtain, which is all these reporters and all this information. Or the Pac-12 could hope and pray that somehow California, Stanford decide to leave the ACC and a return to the Pac-12 roots. I do not expect that to happen. I don't think anybody expects that to happen. But if you're looking at options, you always start with the top of the domino. And the top of the domino would be California and Stanford without a question, without a doubt. I do not believe those two schools would be interested, but we'll find out. We're going to keep poking and prodding. The Holy Smokes Theater, the matinee, is not over. The popcorn line is going outside of the theater. It's going outside in the street. The seats are packed. California, Stanford, of course. Or maybe the Pac-12 could look to grab two schools from the ACC. Maybe a Memphis or a Tulane, which we talked about. Don't know if they're... I don't know. Of course, they're on the target list, near the top with California, Stanford. But are they going to be interested? We're going to find out. We're going to keep poking and prodding on the story. Any update, we're going to be giving it to you as fast as possible. You got to subscribe to our channel, and you have to have the notifications turned on. Or does it take a chance on an FCS schools, such as the juggernauts of North Dakota State or South Dakota State? Going forward, the Pac-12 will not be considered a power conference as far as receiving the share of the college football playoff revenue. It will be part of the new group of 6, as Action Network, I think, is anticipating that the Mountain West schools will retrench themselves and rebuild themselves. However, the Pac-12 will potentially be in contention every season to receive one of the top 5 automatic conference championship berths, similar to how the Mountain West does. Okay? So, when you're talking about who's going to be 7 or 8, there are options. Stanford and California, the biggest dominoes. I don't think it's going to happen. Memphis and Tulane, the next ones, possibly could happen. Possibly, but I think the new Pac-12 has an uphill climb to get those two schools, but maybe they can belly up to the bar, as we say here at Peek Around the Corner, and give Memphis and Tulane an offer they cannot refuse, but they're definitely the next ones. And then, of course, UNLV and Air Force are the top ones left in the Mountain West Conference. And then Action Network talks about, I believe, complete long shots, North Dakota State and South Dakota State. I think there are going to be more candidates to the rebuilt Mountain West school. What Brett McMurphy and Action Network did not talk about in this article is the Texas two-step. What about a couple of schools in the AAC? What about a UTSA and a North Texas? We believe, we've been told, and the chatter behind the curtain knows that they are also part of the mix. Look, the moment we get traction on the next phase 2 of the expansion of this new Pac-12 conference, we're going to be delivering it to you. So make sure you become a member of our channel, because that's where we're going to start with the information. Just like we did this week in episode 46. Become a member of the channel. Go to the description box below the video. Hit the link. Hit the join button. The moment we get any traction on it, we're going to be delivering it to you. And then with the rebuilt Mountain West Conference, South Dakota State, North Dakota State, we've got people in. I think we're going to do a really good job, just like we've done here in the Holy Smokes Theater in regards to PAC-2 and friends. I think we're going to be able to deliver you information about South Dakota State and North Dakota State in a very timely manner. So again, I want to thank everybody for joining us in this live show, breakfast show in the morning. subscribe to our channel, and have your notifications turned on. There is a chance we could come on live again before we do the watch parties. The chatter was unbelievably thick this week. It's why we focused on this stuff in the Pac-12 conference, the Pac-2, whatever you want to call it. It's why we've been laser focused on this story, because something was going to happen. The 4 core schools of the Mountain West, the most valuable schools, and we've had them at the center of the stage for months: Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Colorado State, have now accepted an invitation to become members of the Pac-12 conference, the new Pac-12 conference that's being built. Congratulations to Colorado State. Congratulations to San Diego State. Congratulations to Fresno State. And congratulations to Boise State, who's been knocking on the door for at least the last 20 years to get into the PAC. You've done it. Congratulations to you all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your donations, for your comments in the comments section, and for your phone calls. We're going to pick this back up again. Could be later today. I've got a lot of work to do. So please continue to support this channel in any way that you possibly can. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's the true and only peek around the corner. Until next time, from all of us, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.